see anything significant that will transform the business environment. Um, Much as we were told that there's not going to be an increase in taxes or introduction of new taxes, all the taxes that are already there, the multiple taxes that are affecting businesses negatively, the counterproductive and inimical taxes are still there, they still remain. The COVID tax is still there, the e-levy is still there, the goods and sustainability levy is still there, the excise duty is still there. All these taxes, nothing was done about them, even though we've made an input that they should be reviewed. I personally do not understand why we still have COVID tax in our tax structure when there's no COVID anywhere. After receiving close to 6 billion from tax from development partners to solve our COVID issues, why should we still have COVID tax? And Ghana is the only country imposing COVID tax on individuals. Aside these taxes, my brother, the other cost of doing business are still very high. I mean, you have policy rates at the moment at 30%. 30% of policy rate means that the lending rate will have to hover around 40 to 45%, which business can borrow at this rate and expect to be profitable. There is also a call for utility adjustment every quarter. And from last year, June to now, we've seen about 75% increase in electricity tariffs. Electricity constitutes 30% of a normal business or a manufacturing company. So putting all these things together, I personally do not see anything in the budget that will be beneficial to businesses at this time. One critical thing that I must say, and we have complained about, is the structure of our VAT system. This VAT system will not generate the revenue for the government, but will have a negative impact on businesses and consumers. If you have a VAT system, that component of it translates into a direct cost. The GET fund, the NHIL, and the COVID translate into a direct cost to businesses. They can recover. And a part of it, you can recover. So we ask that they should merge both the straight line, the VAT, and the standard VAT into one VAT and then reduce it below 18%. The average and the highest VAT rate anywhere is 18%. Why do we have VAT of close to 22%? It's not good for businesses. Now, if you look at the fact that we revise our target, the 2023 target, as lower as it is now, GDP reduced from 2.8% to 1.5%, means that the economy is going to contract. If you have inflation target of 18.9%, which was even twice higher than the Bank of Ghana target of 8% plus or minus 2, and then you are saying that the end of year inflation is 1.3%, which means that the producer price inflation will also go up, then you have not turned the corner. If you have an economy that is projecting that at the end of the year, the gross international reserve will be 0.8, which means it's just 3 weeks of import. So if you are not getting any revenue from anywhere, we can only import for 3 weeks and then all of us will die. Then you have not turned the corner. So we should be extra careful the way we are managing the economy. We are putting a lot of pressure and burden on businesses. Businesses cannot expand. And if they are not able to expand, what will happen is that they will collapse. They will lay off people. Yesterday, one of our members spoke to me, and he said today he's closing down. He's going to lay off people because he cannot contain the cost. So as I speak to you, people are going to lose their work at the moment. Government is not employing. The private sector is supposed to expand and employ. We are not stimulating. We are not empowering the private sector. All that we know is to impose taxes and costs on businesses. It is not sustainable. We have a country where we have the head office of AFTA, and we are businesses that are supposed to produce and export. To take advantage of this AFTA, the businesses are not competitive. In fact, by 2030, per all the trade agreement that we have signed, the AGUA, the EPA, the UK Ghana agreement, and the AFTA and the rest. By 2030, every good that we are going to import is going to be duty free, quota free. So they will come in at a lower cost or lower price because these countries are producing at a lower cost, lower interest rates, lower energy, and the rest, lower taxes. So when they come, our so-called least competitive business here are going to collapse. So we should be concerned about what is going to happen in the next 30 years, next 10 years. We need to now take a decisive decision, make a decisive decision of helping businesses, of empowering businesses to expand, to engage a lot of people. Otherwise, we will end up sinking our economy. So for me, it would have been in the interest of all of us. The businesses would have been happy if there was a major decision about cutting down taxes or scrapping some of these nuisance taxes or a way to reduce the cost of business, a clear statement, we would have been happy. Once I didn't see that, and of course, engagement with other stakeholders also shows that there was nothing like that. It means that this budget, for me, is not creating any room or relief for businesses.
And for someone like the member you talk about who is laying off workers and closing down, perhaps the person was looking forward to the mid-year budget review, saying something that will help him to continue to run.
Yes, so probably if there were major decisions about taxes, then it might probably would have changed its initial decision of laying off people. A major decision about interest rates coming down, then probably would have changed its mind. Because if you want to fight the current inflation that we have with monetary policy, you won't get the results. Our inflation at the moment is not anything to do with monetary policy. That is why we have consistently been increasing monetary policy to 30%, but consistently you've seen inflation going up. If we can diagnose this inflation very well, they are coming from two sources. One, food inflation, and two, imported inflation. Food inflation can largely be solved by increasing the food supply. Why did we have the planting for food and jobs? It was supposed to ensure that we have food supply in abundance and throughout the year. Why did we have the one district, one dam? They were to ensure that you have irrigation, you have water for our people in the northern region to increase food supply. What are those policies doing? They have failed. So we need to have a look at them. If we're able to increase food supply, then we control that. If we have imported inflation, the only way to resolve it is to increase the taxes and levies at the ports and also ensure that you strengthen your local currency. If you have a city that is selling at close to 12 cities, and you have close to 13 different levies at the port, then definitely you cannot control imported inflation with monetary policy. So the complementary impact of the fiscal policy in ensuring that we get a lower inflation is not there. If you want to control inflation, fiscal policy is very relevant. You cannot have these taxes and this increment, this multiplicity of taxes and ensure at the same time that you can get inflation. That it won't happen because once businesses pay for these taxes, once they pay for the levies, once the cedi is depreciating, once they are importing, there's a level of inflation. Once food prices are going up, once there are no food, definitely a large proportion of this cost will be passed on to consumers. And then you have inflation going up. You have increasing fuel prices, and the pass-through effect will be there. The utility tariff, the pass-through effect will be there. So it's a very complicated issue. I think we should not be complacent. We have, to some extent, be able to achieve some stability on the back of this IMF deal. We have been able to bring in some level of confidence on the back of this IMF deal, but we shouldn't be complacent. We are not out of the woods yet. So we shouldn't say that we have turned the corner and as such we should be happy. If you look at the first quarter GDP growth, we recorded a growth of 4.3. That growth is not a growth that we require at this time to create employment. The growth largely came from education and the rest. The sectors that will drive the economy, i.e., the manufacturing sector, the hotels and the hospitality industry, the construction industry, and then all the major industries, they all contracted. These are industries that we need to grow in order to drive this economy. So if all these industries are doing well, then definitely you cannot maintain your GDP target of 2.8%. You bring it down to 1.5%, which clearly shows that the economy is contracting. And this is what we are saying. Even the 1.5, if you are not careful, we may not be able to achieve if we continue in this standard of the other major sectors contracting. So let's not begin to dance that we are okay. Let's look at the issues and address them as it is before we can have a way out of these difficulties that we are facing.
I'll come to the minister's insistence that we've turned the corner, but from listening to you, so far the policies we've put in place is not helping the local farmer, the local manufacturer or producer. It's not even helping the importer. Who is this working? Who are these policies working for?
Definitely, I don't see some of these policies are largely as a result of the conditionalities that we made to IMF. Now, IMF is telling you that I won't give you any conditionality. Your debt is unsustainable. Tell me how you are going to ensure that your debt is sustainable. Two ways: generate revenue or cut down expenditure. We have taken a more easy and lazy approach to ensure that we are generating revenue. So we are imposing taxes on each and every one in this country. Aside the direct tax that we pay, there are a lot of indirect taxes. Go and buy food and you know the indirect taxes that are on it. So that is the approach we have taken. But you know, taxes have two main purposes. One is to generate revenue. Two is to use that tax to stimulate private sector production. We have leaned towards just using taxes to generate revenue. So we are imposing taxes day in and day out. And if you impose tax as it is, it will get to a level where people will find a way around it. And the reason why, if you read the minister's statement, we did not get the revenue as expected from VAT is that our VAT structure is totally wrong. VAT is a consumption tax. So they will get the tax revenue when people consume. People are not consuming because their purchasing power had gone down significantly because of the high inflation that we have. So people are not buying the goods for you to get the money that you want. On the side of businesses, if you look at the 6% of VAT that we have, that translates into the 22%. That 6% is a direct cost to businesses because they cannot recover that VAT. And the only way out is to just transfer this kind of cost to consumers. So we can also control inflation at that level. So whatever policy they have brought for us from the side of businesses, whether you are manufacturing or whether you are importing, I mean, those within the import sector are crying. Those within the manufacturing sector are also crying. So I don't know which of these policies are beneficial to businesses. So they should listen to us. They should take our concerns on board whenever they are coming up with some of these policies, because their impact on businesses matters a lot to our economy.
Let me conclude by asking you whether you agree with the finance minister when he says we've turned the corner.
I don't agree. In fact, we have made some gains in terms of where we started at the beginning of the year to where we have now. He made mention specifically of inflation from 54% to the current level of 42.5%. That is okay. We've seen some significant improvement in the exchange rate. But economy that has turned the corner will not revise its GDP growth from 2.8 overall, GDP growth of 2.8 to 1.5. The economy that has turned its corner will not have a policy rate of 30% and an exchange rate and a lending rate of 45%. Economy that has turned the corner won't have this multiplicity of taxes killing businesses. have not turned the corner. We shouldn't be complacent. Still a long way for us to go. All of us have to come together. We shouldn't politicize this economy. Let's look at it. Let's look at the fact on the ground. If you go to the market and the economy has turned the corner, you know. If you're a manufacturing company and you look at your cost of production, you know whether the economy has turned the corner or not. If you import something and you are paying duties at the port, you know whether the economy has turned the corner. On my side, I think that you still have a long way to go.